Welcome to Lesson 9, where we lock the front door on everything we built in Lesson 8. Right now, that persisted data is wide open. Anyone can hit it. So we're layering in JWT and OAuth2. A post-to-token validates username and password, issues a signed token, and every protected route just declares current user as a dependency. FastAPI does the rest, extracts the bearer, verifies the signature, loads the user. Passwords get bcrypt hashed, never stored plain. This is the auth model the L12 cart capstone will run on. Here are the 4 mental models we're building toward. First, bcrypt hashing. That deliberate 100-millisecond cost is what stands between a breach and a catastrophe. Second, issuing JWTs through the OAuth2 password flow, stateless and signed. Third, verifying those tokens inside dependencies, reusing the exact injection pattern you already know from getDB. And fourth, the senior move, short-lived access tokens paired with longer refresh tokens. Master these 4, and you have the security model every public API needs. Let's start with the first lock. Hashing. We use passlib with bcrypt, configured once through a crypt context. Hashing a password takes about 100 milliseconds. That's not a bug, that's the whole point. It pushes brute force attacks into billions of years. On sign-up, you hash before insert. On login, you verify against the stored hash. Notice what hits the database, hashed password, never the plain string. If your DB leaks tomorrow, your user's real passwords don't. Now the second lock, the token endpoint, OAuth2 password request form pulls username and password out of the form data. That's the standard OAuth2 password flow, and it's what lets the Swagger UI's authorize button just work. We look up the user by email, run verify password against the stored hash, and on success we mint a JWT carrying the user ID as the subclaim plus a 15-minute expiry, signed with a secret that lives in an environment variable, never ever in Git. With the token minted, we need the other half of the chain, verifying it on every protected request. Same dependency injection pattern from Lesson 7. OAuth2 password bearer pulls the token straight out of the authorization header. JWT.decode checks the signature and the expiry in one shot, and we hydrate the actual user from the database using the subclaim. Any failure, bad signature, expired missing claim, collapses into a single 401 with the www authenticate header, exactly like the spec wants. Now any endpoint that needs auth just declares current user as a parameter and it's done. And here's the payoff. One annotation, user, current user, and the endpoint is locked. No token, bad token, expired token, all 401 before your handler ever runs. Authentication gives you identity. Authorization is still your job, so on items ID, we compare owner ID to user ID and raise 403 if it's not theirs. And for whole sections like admin, lift it up to router-level dependencies. Every root under that prefix inherits the check. No repetition, no forgotten guard. Now, locking the door is great, but a 24-hour token is a 24-hour window for an attacker. Pros split it. A short-lived access token, 15 minutes, used on every request, and a long-lived refresh token, 7 days, that does one job. Mint new access tokens. Notice the type claim in the payload. That's how the refresh endpoint rejects someone trying to sneak an access token in where a refresh belongs. Store the refresh in an HTTP-only cookie, and you've traded a tiny bit of revocation latency for a massive shrink in your blast radius. Refresh tokens are one piece. Here's the full senior checklist. Keep your JWT secret in ENV or a secrets manager and rotate it quarterly. A leaked secret means anyone forges tokens. Tune bcrypt to 12 rounds, that 100-millisecond sweet spot between brute force fast and login DOS slow. Use scopes so endpoints declare required permissions and fail fast with a 403. And 2 specs people skip. Send www authenticate bearer on every 401 and rate limit token to 5 attempts per minute, or it becomes a credential stuffing playground. Pin this one to your second monitor. 12 patterns that cover the entire lesson. Top row is your password layer. Crypt context sets up bcrypt, hash on signup, verify on login. Middle row is the OAuth2 password flow end-to-end. Bearer reader, request form, encode, decode, and the standard sub plus XP payload. Bottom row is enforcement. Inject get current user on protected routes, lift it to router level when everything behind a prefix needs auth, and always raise 401 with the JWT Authenticate bearer header. Master these 12, and JWT auth stops being something you Google. Now the flip side, 5 mistakes that have each cost a real company real money, and everyone is a one-line fix. Plain passwords in the database. JWT secrets committed to GitHub, 30-day tokens that turn a single leak into a month-long breach, decoding without checking the XP claim, and a wide-open token endpoint that lets attackers brute force at 1,000 tries a second. Audit your own code against this list before you ship, because in production, these aren't bugs, they're incidents. Time to put it into your hands. 3 exercises building on each other. First, register and log in, bcrypt hash on post, register, OAuth2 password request form on token, then drive the whole flow from the docs authorize button. Second, protect your endpoints. Inject current user into me and items and get the 401 versus 403 distinction right. One means, who are you? The other means, I know you, but no. Third, the refresh flow. Short-lived access, long-lived refresh, a refresh endpoint that swaps one for the other. Finish these and your items API is the foundation we build the L12 cart capstone on. And that's lesson 9 in the bag. Bcrypt hashing, JWT issuance, the current user dependency, refresh tokens, the front door is locked, and your data layer from lesson 8 is no longer sitting wide open. Next up, we shift tags from advanced to professional with lesson 10. Async and background tasks. We stop blocking the response, lean on async, await for I/O heavy endpoints, and use background tasks for fire and forget work. See you there.